What's up, you guys? This is officially my first YouTube video, so I'm just doing this rough draft, not putting any editing into this or whatever. First off, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Jared. I go by the Instagram name Flippingenius. I am a reseller, father, husband, bunch of other things, but those are the good, I think. But recently I quit my job, went into full-time reselling, and in the last year or two have really found different ways to generate higher returns, more profits, go into different categories that I was maybe uncomfortable or didn't have any knowledge in. And a lot of it was based, and I give a lot of credit to the amazing reseller community that we do have. There are so many people with such a vast knowledge of tips and tricks, and are so willing to help that it really eliminates excuses of saying that you can't, or give an excuse that it's just not for you, or you just don't have the time, and we all can win. Now, whether you choose to take massive action or whether you choose to just soak in hours and hours of content and never doing anything is the difference between accomplishing great things and just being another statistic. First of all, I appreciate anybody who watches this video. I'm like Joe Schmo, who am I? I'm just trying to relay my experiences and help out in any way that I can and provide value for you. So a little bit about my background. I was raised on thrifting and garage selling. My parents were extremely well-to-do as far as being frugal. They both were from very humble beginnings and passed that along, that you could always get a better price, and that there's no greater rush of dopamine than getting a good deal. You know, the term shopaholic, I think, is a stretch, but they definitely were no rookies, or they were not green when it comes to finding amazing deals. My dad is one that I think is one of my biggest influences. He was one of 14 kids, a massive family, and his life experience, he always found deals. He would never pay purchase price for anything. You know, and people would call that cheap, people would call that frugal, but coming in the background that he did, money was very scarce, and so you had to make do with what you had or get a better deal for the better things that you wanted. So you know, I would watch my dad do it with vehicles all the time. He would never buy a car brand new. He'd always buy it used, and most times my dad would end up driving a car for free. He would buy a car at such an amazing deal, always have cash, he never bought anything on credit, and would drive a car for 3-4 years. It'd be really good car and sell it and either break even or make money. And one of the biggest things that people lose money on is financing a car, because the depreciating factors that go into play, especially if you're financing it. You buy a car brand new from a dealership, and you're paying sales tax, you're paying interest, you're paying documentation fee, you're paying all these extra fees. The minute you drive the car off the lot, boom, that's like 20% of the value. It has 1 mile on the car, but you lost 20% of the value. People will do that consecutively, day in and day out, and unfortunately they'll take a car that they finance, drive it for a few years, be negative, meaning they owe more than what the car is worth, and want to keep up with the Joneses, go refinance or go get another car, roll their negative equity onto a new car, and they just never get out of that rat race. They never get out of that trap, and they're paying way too much for things. So my piece of advice, or my value that I'm trying to bring to you guys today, is know the true cost of what something is. And what I mean by that is, just because you're purchasing something doesn't mean that that's the actual price when you look at it full circle, especially if you're financing things. People get caught up in the, oh, it's 0%. That number of the interest has already been worked into the car's price. Most people are just too negligent or just impatient. It's the FOMO, the fear of missing out. They want it here and now. It's bright and shiny. It's new. What I have is crappy. This is so much better. 0% is such a great deal. And they unfortunately get themselves caught up in a situation where they're starting off with 2 feet in the grave with the deal. Now, fast forward that to 10 years, 20 years of doing that consecutively, you're making a really unwise financial decision as far as compounding that. Now, it can be argued either way. It can be argued that you buy a brand new car and you drive it for 20 years. That's a different story. If you get your value out of your vehicle, I have an uncle who bought a truck, brand new, 1991, and still drives that truck to this day. Shout outs Toyota 22 REs. That is the exception, because he is getting his value of that vehicle day in and day out, keeping up with maintenance and investing money as needs to, things break down, things fall apart. You keep up with the maintenance and keep going. That is the exception to that rule. And I give him the most props, because very few people do that nowadays. Very few people will buy a car and keep it 10 years, 15 years, and keep up with the routine maintenance and make sure that they value that. And so that is the exception to the rule. Another thing is, when you are doing your purchasing, or when you're looking into something, never ever settle for a first offer. Sticker price. And I'm sorry, this is kind of, it seems like a rant about just vehicles. It's just, I see it time and time again. It's one of the biggest losing money factors, it seems, for people financially. It goes, their home or their living expense or their rent is the highest price item that they have, and then usually a car will come next. And it's not just the car payment, but it's the oil changes, the gas, the depreciation, the car insurance. All those costs kind of affiliate with that car. So if you're struggling financially, or you're looking at ways to cut costs, you can always downsize where you live, and sometimes it's not as easy. Sometimes you're in a mortgage, or you're in a home that you can't get out of. I understand that. Vehicles are a dime a dozen. It is not hard to find a good vehicle. So it does take a little bit of research, and it takes an investment of time, but you have all the resources at your disposal. I don't know anything about cars is a common excuse. Ask a mechanic, hey man, when you get off, I want to go look at a car. If I give you $40, will you come and just, kind of take a look under the hood, see if it's worthy? Paying that person 40, 50, whatever dollar amount, it's such a wise investment. It's an oil change. That's a gas fill up, to make sure that the car is sound, or you're making a good decision. But it gives you no excuse to say, well, I don't know anything about cars. That, I think, will level you up, give you some peace of mind, and set you up for a better deal. And particularly in Nevada, if you buy a used car, you don't have to pay sales tax if you buy it from a private party. If you buy it from a dealership, you do have to pay sales tax again. I believe. I'm pretty sure on that. But sales tax, crock. It's such nonsense. Why would you pay sales tax on something that's already used? That makes no sense. And it's a huge, especially if you're financing it. So if you have, a 5-year loan on your sales tax, you're paying interest on sales tax. That is retarded. It can set you back financially. So out of my first videos, this was definitely not where I thought this was going to go. This is more of just a live tangent, so I apologize if this is a little bit different. As far as finances are concerned, I've really tried to get more savvy as far as financing money options, how to save money, how to make passive income. And I'll add more content. I really want to share as much as I've learned over the last couple years of all the research I've done, and trial and error. And if I can save one person some money, it's worth it for me. But that was my tangent for right now. Use local marketplaces: Facebook, OfferUp, Craigslist, LetGo, Macari, all these. The Review Journal is a newspaper back home. Those type of things are invaluable resources that are at your fingertips, but a lot of people choose not to take advantage of them because they're impatient, or because the fear of missing out. Oh, this car is at this dealership and it's beautiful, and somebody's going to come and buy it. Who cares? There's a million just like it. So take your time, do your research, ask for help, network, talk to mechanics, talk to different people that are more savvy, that know about cars and things like that, and it will help you out tremendously and set you better up financially. My name is Jared. Go by the Flippingenius. Thanks for watching.